The Titanic's last hero, the baker who refused to die. Part 1. On the night of April 14, 1912, the RMS Titanic sailed through the cold waters of the North Atlantic. Known as the largest and most luxurious passenger ship ever built, Titanic was carrying more than 2,200 passengers and crew on its maiden voyage from Southampton, England, to New York City. People called it the unsinkable ship, and many believed it was the safest vessel ever created. But at 11:40 p.m., everything changed. The Titanic struck a massive iceberg. The collision seemed small at first. Many passengers barely noticed it, and some even joked about the sudden vibration. However, below the waterline, the iceberg had ripped open several compartments. The ship's designers had prepared for almost every emergency, but not for this one. Water rushed inside faster than anyone expected. As officers realized the Titanic would sink, panic slowly spread across the ship. Crew members began uncovering lifeboats while passengers were told to put on life jackets. Sadly, there were not enough lifeboats for everyone because the ship carried only 20 lifeboats, far fewer than needed for everyone aboard. While fear grew on the upper decks, one man remained surprisingly calm. His name was Charles Juffin, the Titanic's chief baker. He was responsible for feeding hundreds of passengers every day, but on this terrible night, his duties became something much greater than baking bread. Instead of running toward a lifeboat, Charles gathered the bakery staff and gave them an unexpected order. He instructed them to prepare as much bread as possible and deliver it to the departing lifeboats. He understood that survivors might spend many hours in the freezing Atlantic before rescue ships arrived. Even a small amount of food could make a difference. After making sure the bread had been distributed, Charles didn't stop helping. He walked across the decks, guiding frightened passengers toward the lifeboats. He helped women and children climb aboard safely and assisted the crew wherever he was needed. While many people were terrified, witnesses later remembered that Charles stayed remarkably calm. As more lifeboats disappeared into the darkness, the number of people left on the Titanic became smaller. The orchestra continued playing music to comfort the passengers. Families hugged each other, hoping for a miracle. Some people prayed, while others searched desperately for empty seats in the remaining boats. Charles noticed another problem. Once the ship sank, hundreds of people would be left floating in the freezing ocean. Looking around, he saw stacks of wooden deck chairs. Without wasting a moment, he began throwing chair after chair into the sea. His hope was simple. If someone ended up in the water, those chairs might provide something to hold on to. Every action he took showed that he was thinking about others instead of himself. As midnight passed, the Titanic's bow sank deeper into the icy Atlantic. Water flooded more sections of the ship, and it became clear that there was no saving it. Crew members continued launching the last few lifeboats while the deck tilted more steeply with every passing minute. Charles Juffin could still have tried to save himself earlier, but he chose to remain behind. He continued helping until almost everyone he could assist had already left. Soon, there would be no lifeboats remaining. The giant ship that the world believed could never sink was entering its final moments. Charles stood on the deck, watching the freezing ocean rise higher and higher around him. He had done everything he could for others. Now, he would have to face the impossible alone. To be continued in Part 2.